There we go. Okay. So as I was saying, we're going to move very quickly to get the 17 districts migrated by the end of September. We'll be in contact of what that looks like, and we'll talk about some of the differences as we move along here. I personally think that ESS looks an awful lot like kiosk, which is good news. I think it'll be an easy transition. One thing to note is that historical leave requests at this point in time will not be migrated over. We'll be running reports to kind of keep that data, and they are looking at potentially having the ability to upload that, but I don't know when that's going to be. So as of right now, don't expect that ability to go back and see prior leave requests. I think that's about it. So I'm going to log in. So I'm going to log in just as a user first, so you can see what your users will see. Okay. So when they log in, this is what they see. This is their homepage. This is an announcement board that you can give somebody in the district or multiple people in the district the ability to manage. I put this one on here, so when you click on it, you know, there's a little saying whatever note you want to say to them. You can set this to start and stop at a specific time. It says who it's from, you know, whatever. So you can send out little messages easily to your staff. You can also do custom links. So if you want them, maybe there's websites that they go to frequently, or, you know, whatever could be beneficial. I put ours on here, and when I click on it, it asks me if I really want to go there. And when I click on it, it opens in a new web page. You can whitelist links, so that way it doesn't ask you if you really want to go there, but so that's their homepage. Let's jump down here at the very bottom. When they click on this, this is where they sign out. It's not up here, even though that's exactly what this little guy looks like, is a sign out button. It's actually the custom links. The sign out is down here. And they can also go to their profile. It has their name. This is all pulling from a user setup that the district manager will have access to. But they can come in here and first of all, they can change this to dark mode, which just changes the background if that's easier for them to see. And then this right here, they can set their default start and end times for leave. That way, when they go to enter a leave request, it'll automatically pop up with those times, but it can be changed. So, you know, if their standard time is, let's just say 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., they can save that. So when they go to do a leave request, it'll populate that. Okay, so next up, you have their employee profile. This is pulling from USPS, and you do have the ability, just like in kiosk, to tell it what they can see. That's in the configuration, and that's can be done by the district manager. So you can limit what they can actually see on certain things, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But in here, for this specific scenario, I think we have everything in this demo here. Their employee number, their certification, their last, their name, other information, which is their spouse, their date of birth, OSDI. Again, all of this pulls from their employee screen on USPS. Their contact information, so city, address, phone number, email, dates, hire date, ODJFS, last paid date, and again, all of this is pulling. So one thing that you will see in here is this create new data change request. This, they can click on this and they can say, wait a minute, my middle name isn't Chris, it's Chris. So they can put that in there and then they can submit this data change request. And what that does is that will go to a data change manager, which is probably going to be payroll. I'm just going to submit it because I'll show you where it's at. The payroll person or the data change manager can approve it and then actually post it directly to USPS. But if they don't want to, they can reject it back to them and say why. So that is something, I think Kiosk had something similar, but it wasn't a direct posting into USPS, which is why I kind of said I felt like payroll should probably be the one that's the data change manager so that they know what's getting updated. Position details, again, I have everything selected in this demo, but they can see their building code, department code, their supervisor. Down here, it doesn't quite say it, but this is their contract information. This is, again, all pulling from USPS, and it's just like Kiosk, which I guess I should mention. When we do the migrations, your current setup in Kiosk will pull over, hopefully, fingers crossed, exactly like it's set up in Kiosk and the ESS. So hopefully when you log in, it's like, oh, yep, this is all the stuff that we used to be able to see. Here is where they can view their pay slips. I will tell you right now, currently at this moment, probably not by the time we're migrating, this is not filtered correctly. So, and we don't have anything in this demo, but it's out of order. So you'll have like July, or I don't know, maybe March payments and then maybe January payments. But so they are working on fixing that. I believe that's on the next release. So that shouldn't be an issue. W-2s will be in here. Again, this pulls from USPS just like Kiosk did. Here's their leave information. They can see their different types of leaves they're eligible for, how much they're accruing, their beginning balance, and their current balance is over here on the far right. So they can see currently how much time they have. They can see their absences in here. This is really nice because they can filter and say, oh, when did I take all my vacation time? And it'll filter just for their vacation. If they want to know, what kind of time they took in a specific date range, they could, put that in. And it tells you how much time they took. And then their accumulations, so they can see when their accumulation was given for anything. And all of this pulls from USPS when they log in. So it should be updated. And the leave balances is, of course, what is showing in USPS. So I don't believe that the balance here factors in any leave request that's been approved. So it's only showing, it's pulling from USPS, not showing you, well, you have 10 days, but you've already requested, 3 days. They're just not in the system. It doesn't show you that yet. All right, so now probably the thing that your employees will use the most is the leave request. So they come to leave requests and they can create a new one. And it's automatically going to pop up with a position. If they have multiples, they can change it. They're going to choose their leave type. This, again, is limited to what you currently have selected in Kiosk. So whatever you currently were allowing them to request will migrate into ESS. So if he needs to take a sick day, he can put a reason. And your start date. So you can see right here, my time's populated because I updated that on my profile. So now it's saying 8 to 4, but maybe this is for tomorrow and I need to take from 8 to 12 and come over here and say 12. Now you'll see when you do click on the clock here, it's only giving you hourly increments. You can change that. So if it's maybe I'm going to be leaving at 8:30, you can type that in and it gives you a little saying right here that you can enter a time. Here is the number of, or the total time requested. So if it's half a day or 1 day. I don't have to research that. I'm not sure if we can change this to be a certain value, if we can minimize it to like quarter days. I need to research that one. So they can put a comment here if they need to, but then they just create the leave request. And it tells me it was successful. They can click on their leave request. So these are all the leave requests, and I can see that this day on the 19th has been approved, but these other two have been initiated. They have not been approved yet. So I'm still waiting on the supervisor to approve these. And then this is their leave calendar. Yes.
Okay, I got a question. So if say an employee would have to go to the emergency room and they weren't able to put in their leave on that day and they had to put it in for yesterday, will it allow you to do it for a past date?
Let's find out.
Okay.
We're going to say he was sick on, scroll up, the 29th. And we'll say it was all day. Yes, I do want to create that. Let's see, is it going to let me?
It'll just ask you a question. Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, it was in the past, are you sure? And so let's see, it's out here for the 29th. So yeah.
Great.
So that is what the user, like your users are going to see. Anybody who's, your employees. This isn't, we'll go and look at a supervisor next. Does anybody have any questions on that so far?
Hey, Tanya, we've got a couple questions. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, you said that prior requests are not going to be migrated over. So when an employee opens up the tab that showed them, here's all the vacation requests I had, will that be populated with information from USPS, or it'll be blank until they start loading vacation requests from this point forward?
Are you talking about here in the absences, or are you talking about my leave request? The absences? Right. Sorry, I keep moving too fast.
Either.
Here. This
Either.
is
like.
Okay. So this, my leave request, will be anything that's entered into ESS. Anything that was entered in kiosk will not show up in here. Under leave information, the absences, because this is pulling from USPS and you've posted it in USPS, ideally, it will show up in here.
Okay, so if an employee in the month of August puts in a leave request for this December, they'll need to do that again in ESS.
So that is a conversation that I think it would be best to have one-on-one with each district. So you have two options. You can either, the way this will probably work is I'll work one-on-one with each district and say, okay, we're gonna go live on ESS on on August 15th, just making this up. So on August 14th, that is your employee's deadline to enter leave request. So you could say, all right, tell your staff, you have until noon on the 14th to enter leave request. And then no more after that. That would give you and the supervisors time to approve those leave requests and export them. So you could export them and then kind of have them in a file so you can import them as the time comes. Or if they're for dates that have not been exported, you could have the employee come back in here and enter them again. So it's kind of a what's going to work best for you employees situation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to log out as this user and I'm going to log in as his supervisor. So as a supervisor, they still have their announcements here and the custom links, but they also have a leave request approval workflow. So this is what is sitting out here that this tells me as a supervisor, I need to deal with this. These are all my leave requests. This timesheet approval is over here. I'm going to ask that they get rid of that if timesheets aren't enabled, but you can ignore that because we only have one district using timesheets. So this tells me, okay, I need to approve all of this. I can approve it from here if I want to click on the eyeball for each one and say, okay, he was sick on the 29th. Okay, yep, approve that. So I could do that right from here. I can add a note if I want to. And now it's gone. This user has all the same stuff, employee profile, their position, pay slips. What is different about them is under leave calendars. Well, under leave request, they have view supervised leave. So this is all of the leave that I'm supervisor of. So here's the 2 that I approved for him. And then here's the 2 that still need approved. Under leave calendars, I have my leave calendar. There's also this district leave calendar, which is a little, I was playing with it this morning and it's a little wonky because when you click on it, it's initially blank. But if you can filter it based upon, and this is all depending on what type of role these users have. So in this case, I'm kind of getting in the weeds here. This employee has leave calendar by building. So when I go to the district leave calendar, I can filter by building codes. If they had leave calendar by pay group, I could filter by pay group. If I had leave calendar by department, I would have the department codes. So this one's a little unique and I don't love it because you have to come in here and filter every single time. But in this case, I know that this employee and her staff are in the 510 building. So when I apply that, now I can see all of the leave. However, if I just click on supervisor leave calendar, I can see it all without having to do any sort of filter. So that's probably where I would recommend going, is here, is the supervisor leave calendar. Now that may not work for everyone. It just depends on how your workflow is set up. And also I should mention, on these calendars, green is approved and blue is waiting to be approved. And if it were red, it would be rejected. And also to note, and this was a most recent request, an improvement request, is that there's no way to see what type of leave this was for. Oh, it does say sick leave up here. So it does say sick leave, but I guess there is a time, but there's no, at a quick glance, you can't really see, you have to click on it. So that's, that's something that hopefully they'll improve, because I think kiosk used to have like dash VA for vacation or SI for sick or whatever. So hopefully they'll fix that. So it's a little bit easier to see at a glance without clicking on it. You can also change the view. I didn't mention this before. I think all of the calendars have this. If you want to see it by just a day in order to see that's because if I just want to see a daily picture of the time that was taken, or a weekly, like I just only want to look at this week. I don't care about the whole month. I just need to know what's going on this week. So that's a nice little feature. You can get really detailed in here. That could get really busy, I'm sure. And then, so under the last thing that they have that's different is the leave request approval. So in here would be all of the unapproved leave, and this is where they can mass approve. So they can review it all. Okay, I'm good with all of that. And they check the box and they approve. So that is the difference between a user and a supervisor. Is there any questions on that?
Once the supervisor approves a leave, will the email go out to the requester, whether it's rejected or approved?
Good question. Let me find out. If my pen will work.
Hey, Tanya, do you know when you would have an answer on whether or not they can enter in 0.25 instead of 0.5?
So let's see what happens. I'm curious because I've kind of did, let me go back. Let's test this out. Because what happens if I go, let's see. Let's say we want to create a leave request and we only want to do, let's say 8 to 10. Let's do 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I'm going to leave it at 0.5. It's not 0.5. Nope, it doesn't like that. So let's see, when I create this, oh my gosh, I choose a different date. Got too many going on. Okay, sick, 8-5, 8-5, 8 to 10. We're gonna leave it at a half a day and let's see. Let me look when we get, next up, we're going to go into like a district manager and see, because I'm wondering if it's in configuration. I don't remember seeing it when I was in here this morning. That doesn't mean I'm not missing something. But if I don't find an answer today, I will definitely send that request when we're done with this meeting.
Right. SSDT is updating and changing the software all the time. They're just in, it's their primary focus, and they're working at improving it and getting it up to speed. So there's lots
Absolutely.
changing all the time.
Especially something like anytime it's a bug, and I don't know that I'd qualify that as a bug necessarily, but things that are going to seriously hinder the users. I think last week we had 4 updates in 1 week. So they are, you know, pushing these out as quick as they can. So I will find out. And who asked me that question?
It was Kelly Sininger.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. I can send it out in an email. Sorry, I gotta make notes. I won't remember. Okay, so I'm just gonna real quick dive into this configuration to see if I see it. Oh, look. We can do quarter days. So this would be in the setup. So if it's already set up like that in kiosk, and I'm not sure if that is, then it should pull over identically in ESS.
Wonderful. Thanks.
You're welcome. Glad we found that. Okay, so this is a district administrator, which I imagine I'm sorry, it's called a district manager. I imagine you would give this to probably payroll, maybe in some of the larger districts, maybe your HR person also helps run it. Just people that are going to have, the district manager has access to create users. And I believe that's about the only extra, and the configuration. So, and again, whatever roles you had in kiosk will roll over into ESS. So this person has all of the same stuff, except this person has the ability to this elevated create leave request. So this is used in the event that somebody is unable to put in a leave request for some reason. And maybe you need it in there. Maybe it's pay date and you're like, this person's on leave of absence or they're really sick, so I need to put in this leave request. You would have the ability to select the employee and create a leave request on their behalf. Well, this is the same. Export leave requests. So this is where payroll can come in and say, all right, I need to export leave, and I can, pick my dates that I need to export it for. So here's the leave that's going to export. You can filter it even more by just specific employees, or maybe only certain pay groups, whatever your particular setup is, what works best for you. Or maybe you only want to do, maybe I only want to do sick leave. So you have a lot of options in here. Right now, when you export the leave, is this direct to USPS working yet or not? I'm not sure if this is working or not. So you can create a CSV file like you currently do, but they are, if this isn't, I need to look at that too. You will be able to directly post this to USPS without doing a download file and uploading into USPS, which I think is pretty sweet. Any questions on that so far? Okay, I'm skipping users for just a second. This person is also the announcement manager. So this is where you could come in and create an announcement. So if I wanted to create a new one, this is where I can say, all right, I want this active from today until maybe just the end of August. and whatever the subject you want to be. So if you wanted to, so I did send out an email with the ESS demo, the SSDT did for users. I think that is, they may be doing a new one, and if they do, I'll send you out a new link, just because it's like Rhonda said, it is changing so fast and they're getting new improvements. So this one's slightly outdated because it was a shocking 9 days ago. But let's say you wanted to put this out here for your users to be able to come back to. You could copy this and, you know, please, you know, and put the link to it. And then when I create this, when I go back to home, so now they can easily click on this and say, oh, I need, and you can actually make this a link. If you see link, paste. Okay. So you can make it a link so they can just click on it. You can delete it if you're done with it, you know, whatever you need to do there. Leave request, this would be the same. This specific person doesn't have any leave because they're not none of their employees have put anything in. This again, all of this stuff is going to be stuff that pulls over from kiosk. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over that. This is stuff we can look at if we need to at the time, but here's your export history. This hasn't had anything exported, but you would be able to see your export history in here. Blackout dates, this is if you have dates when people should not be entering leave requests, maybe holidays, maybe time off, you can put those in here. This is the data change management. So here's where this person has requested some changes. If I view it, I can see it's in green, kind of in green. It's kind of hard to see, but I can see, oh, he's changing his middle name from Chris to Chris with a different spelling. And I can approve that. Say, yep, I'll approve that. At some point, you will be able to directly post this to USPS. That is coming. Looks like right now you would still have to manually go into USPS and put in those changes. Oh, wait a minute. Does this work? Let's find out. Let's see what this was. This is the same thing. Oh, I messed it up now. Oh, so it's after you approve it. See, I haven't had time to play with this a lot. Can you all tell?
And as we said, it is constantly changing. There's updates almost daily.
It's crazy how quickly. So let's find out.
Yeah.
Look,
Wow.
his name's Chris now. So
That's awesome.
So that's a nice little feature. And you can see here now I've exported it. Go ahead. Any questions?
Hey, Tanya, could you put in a leave request that covers, like, let's say 10 days and there's a holiday in there, like Labor Day? You know how when you do it in kiosk, it pulls up like a little calendar and says, are these really the days that you want? Can you show us what it does in this system?
Yeah. Let me log out of this. Well, I can probably do it here. This is an employee. Let's see. Leave request. I'm going to create a new one. If I recall, this one looks a little weird, but so, all right. Oh, look. See, I told you I'm learning. Leave balance before request, including ongoing leave request. So this must be their balance and subtracting out any leave that might be pending out here. See, let's just all learn. All right. So let's say we need to do, we'll do the 5th through the 9th, and we're going to say 8 to 4. See, now it defaults to 0.25 because I changed that in the configuration. I'm going to say 1 day. So let's create this leave request. So here, it's kind of a little weird. It pops up and it's like, well, what do you really want? So this is the time frame I put in for. Okay, that's what I thought. That's weird. So here is where you actually have to say, I need 4 days in this time frame. So I put in a 5-day span, but I'm really only needing 5 days. So now when I create it, it automatically puts 1 in each of these. And if this is the day that I don't actually, it's a holiday or whatever, a non-paid day, we can accept that. Wow. This is probably because we're in a demo. I'll have to play with this a little bit more. Because I'm also wondering now, if we go to do this, well, that was weird. It gave me an error, but it still put in my leave. I don't know if that error was because I'm in a demo. So that's one way to do it, but I'm wondering if you'd use the blackout dates. So maybe you use the blackout dates to put the holidays in, would it automatically skip that day? It did not. So I'll ask about that, because if I put in a blackout date, I feel like it should just automatically skip that. So I'll find out about that, but that is how they can enter multiple days and not, and still skip days that aren't work days, if that makes sense.
Tanya,
Yeah.
under that blackout day again, I had a drop down for, I think, employee.
Yeah, I saw that, but I was again, I think this blackout date is relatively new.
If you drop it down on the employee, will it
I
let
was
you
hoping that if
specify?
I didn't, if it would just be everybody.
Okay.
I'll test it one more time. And if it doesn't work, we'll move
Sure.
on. I did notice here that my leave balance has changed because I did enter those 4 days earlier.
Hey, Tanya, back in the configuration, there was a box that says applies to leave request. Maybe that needed to be checked.
You know what? You might be right. I'm literally learning this with you. We have been so busy, and this is changing so fast. It's hard to keep up with everything. So still didn't skip it. And here were you saying applies the leave request? You guys are good. All right, last time, I promise. I got nothing. I'll research it. I'll research it and get back to you. Okay. So we talked about that already. Within the system, the district administrator will be able to see, or manager, sorry, I keep saying administrator, district manager will be able to see all of this. I don't imagine there's a whole lot in here you would ever really touch. This USPS data sync, it does this already without you doing anything, but if you felt like something might be wrong, you can come in here and sync the positions and the leave balances just to make sure that it's got the most current. Organization, this is all going to pull in within the configuration some things that you might want to change. Again, it's going to pull over what's in kiosk, but maybe this job status configuration. So right now this is set up to show active and inactive. Well, maybe you don't want those inactive jobs to show up because maybe that might cause extra confusion. So you could uncheck this and save it. And then they would only see their active jobs. Another one would be the employee profile. So this is where you can kind of control what they see. Maybe you don't want to see them to see their experience information or their qualification, or whatever you don't want them to see. You could uncheck that. And then under the position details, this is where all of that information from the position comes in. So maybe you're like, well, I don't really think they need to see their building code. I don't know. Again, no different than kiosk. What's in kiosk will pull over. So I don't foresee you guys making a lot of changes, but if you ever wanted to, it's a new system. People will start seeing new things and start having questions. And that's when you'll be like, all right, too many questions. So one thing I do want to point out in here is this password expiration configuration. That is going to be set on configuration to be 90 days. And we ask that you do not change that. We need to be in compliance. So it's going to be set at 90 days. And it is a complex password. It's an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and a special character, I believe, are the criteria. It has to be 8 characters. And that I have not seen where that can be changed. So I think that's, there's another one, is it this one? Yes. So this leave request workflow configuration, this is where the emails that are sent out. Hey, look right here. Escalated. No, that's not it. Rhonda, this might answer your question. Request approval email. So this kind of leads me to believe that when the request is approved, an email goes out. But this is where, if you edit this, this is what it says. A leave request has been approved with the following details. And this is pulling, like it tells you up here, this is pulling directly from items within ESS. If you wanted to add an additional note, I don't even know what that note could be. Like you could, come in here and add these leave notes with some, I don't know, making something up. You could add that in here. Otherwise, these are just kind of standard emails that are going to go out. I do think there is currently an issue with if you are a notify only person, so maybe it's the secretary of a building and they've always been set up to get notified of an absence. I believe it's actually coming through as something that says you have a leave request to approve, even though they can approve it and they're not the approver. SSDT is working on that one as well, just to change the verbiage that doesn't lead them to believe they have to approve something. So questions on that before I move to users? Okay. First of all of your groups and your group chains, this is like the leave request workflows and kiosk. All of this should pull over just as it is right now. So again, hopefully you're not having to come in here and do anything. It's already set up. It would only be if you needed to make a change in the future. So users. As of right now, we are migrating users directly from kiosk, and their username will remain the same as it is in kiosk. So again, that is their primary email address that's in USPS. Please note that in the next 12 months or so, so right now you'll be able to create the users directly in here, but in the next 12 months, we are going to be moving all users in ESS to be Active Directory and using MFA, so multi-factor authentication, meaning they will be set up in HCC's Active Directory, and they'll be set up as a two-factor authentication. So when they log in with their username and password, that's in our Active Directory, they will then get a secondary code, either sent to them via text or a push notification via an app or an email or a phone call with a 6-digit PIN that they will have to enter. The reason we will be moving toward that in the next 12 months is because we have to be in compliance with NIST, I think is the abbreviation, for our security insurance, because the ESS does contain personally identifiable information because it pulls the W-2s. So we will work toward that. It was discussed to do this with the onset of ESS, but we just felt like that was too much too quickly. So it's going to be a change now with a new system, and then a change in the future with moving to that Active Directory multi-factor authentication. So stay tuned for information on that.
Hey, Tanya, will that affect USAS too? So right now, only those in the treasurer's office have to do the Duo push, and all of our teachers who have access to it, they just log in. Will they have to do that email code?
For ESS, yes.
What about USAS?
That's a good question. That's something that we'll be working with, we'll work with easy for me to say, our IT department on how that will work. Because you're right, currently, and not every district is even on MFA yet. So if you're sitting here and you're like, we don't do that, it's coming. If a teacher is going to be set up for MFA, for ESS purposes, does that also translate into USAS? I don't know that answer yet, but we'll figure that out and let you know when the time comes. Okay. So with users, right now, as it stands, there is no self-registration like kiosk has. I know that's a huge bummer. They are actively working on it, and I anticipate that to be released in the near future, potentially even before you are migrated. But I want to go over this just in case it's not. So, and of course, this will change when we go MFA, but for right now, you have to create the users. So you have to put them in USPS and then you have to put them in ESS. There are two ways to do this. The first one, you just come into, and only the district manager has the ability to create users. So you can come in here and you can hit create and you can pull up your person. And this is pulling directly from USPS. And as soon as I do that, I get their first name, their last name, their email. And if their username is going to be their email, I'm just going to copy and paste it.
And
In
that
this
will be their
case,
primary email, right? In
yeah,
USPS.
this is pulling their primary email. Yep. Automatically, the role it wants to give them is user. If it's somebody who's going to be a supervisor, then you might need to come in here and keep user, but also you might need to come down here and give them leave request approval because they're supervising. And maybe they also need the leave supervisor for staff. And probably the leave calendar by district building. One of these. Probably. Why is there not one? Maybe it's because it's this one. District staff. What is the difference between those two? Leave calendar by district building. Use filters to use staff requests for all buildings within district. District staff for selected employees. Well, my honest answer is mimic whoever they're replacing. That would be my answer. But they're going to need a calendar of some sort. I'm going to say maybe the leave calendar by building makes the most sense. And then you would, let's get rid of that. So here's all of their different roles, and then you create. So it's super fast to create them in here. If you have a lot, you can mass load them. And I do have a, let's see. Are you able to see this Excel sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I can send out this template and I think I'll even put it on our website, but this is the information that you would need in order to do a mass load. These are the headers that you have to have. You have to put in their employee number, whatever you want their username to be. And in this case, because of what I was doing, this is what their username was, but it could absolutely be the email. And then what roles you want them to have. I did find out that the roles are case sensitive. If you needed more than just user, you could, and I keep clicking over here. This is actually the wiki page, which I'll show you how to get to. But this is all of the different roles that they can have. And if you are mass loading them, why can't I find it? Where is it? Mass load. If you're mass loading more than just the user, you have to separate them by a hyphen. So here's an example. This person is going to have leave manager, sub coordinator, and user. Or you could just upload everybody as a user and then just manually go into the few people. I don't imagine there's too many people that need additional roles. But when you have this, you would save this as a CSV, and then you would come to users. Nope, sorry, not users. It's under system and mass load. You would upload your file, and it does have to be a CSV. Your only option right now for mass load is user, and then you could import it. And I got an error because I forgot I loaded that person earlier and forgot to delete them. But it would tell you whether it loaded or whether there's an error or not. So there's two ways. So it's pretty, if you have a lot of people, I would probably recommend just doing, this. You could honestly, you could pull this information out of USPS in some capacity if you had a whole lot, or you could just be filling this in as you're putting them into USPS and getting their employee number. Whatever works for you. Again, self-service is coming, or self-registration is coming soon. I expect it by the end of the month, honestly, because that's been a huge request. So this may never be an issue for you, but I did want to cover it. Any questions there? All right, so we've already been going on for an hour. So I want to show you, first of all, under help and documentation, this is where you can get to the SSDT wiki, the Employee Self-Service User Manual. I will tell you that this is a work in progress right now. There definitely I get daily updates, and they're always in here updating it. It's not as robust as USAS and USPS because it's still so new, but they're working on it to make it, as detailed as possible. Over here is where you have all of your different options. So if you have questions, feel free to, come out here and poke around if you want. If not, if you just want to, ask us questions, that's totally fine too. The other thing I want to show you is our website. This is where we're going to post all of the links. So under finance, state software, links and trainings. And then under this one, click here for school login page. Now we just keep adding more. So you've got your USAS, your USPS inventory, and now we're going to start adding your ESS links, because unlike kiosk was one link for the entire state, and then you just logged in and it went to your district. This is different. It's more like USAS and USPS, and that there's your information's contained to one URL. So we'll put this out here. I'll send it to you as we're going live with everything. I want to show you where that's at. Let me check my notes because I'm terrible at paying attention to them. All right, so that's what I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions?
Tanya, could you go over the process of how you're going to be contacting the district,
Yep.
the time frame, and they need to have leave requests done by X date, how long the
Yep.
conversion process should take, and all that.
Yep, we'll touch on this. So we haven't done one yet, but in my head, this is how it's going to work. We'll be reaching out very soon. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe early next week, with some things to do before you go live and what some of the things that need to be done. The biggest thing, honestly, is the leave request, because we do have to turn that off. And everything needs to be in an approved status and exported, because like we discussed earlier, it's not pulling into ESS. And we can work one-on-one to figure out what's going to work best for you. Maybe the best thing is to export everything that hasn't been exported and then maybe save it in different files that pertain to different payrolls. Or maybe you say, all right, I'm going to tell all of these people that they need to re-enter in ESS once we're live. I'm going to let you as the district decide what's going to work best for you. So like Rhonda said, we have a very short time frame here. I roughly created just threw some names on a calendar of when I thought people might convert. I am trying to be very, very mindful of pay dates and when you're going to be very busy. And trying to avoid, that week before payroll when you might be processing and don't want to deal with this. So I can actually show you if you want the calendar that I come up with. Now, please know when you see this is we can change this. If you look at that and you say, absolutely not, I'm on vacation, that's not going to work for our district. Can you see this okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this is August, and this was kind of my thought process of when people might go live. These can be changed. Like I said, if you see your district up here and you're like, no, let me know. We'll work out another one. Like I said, I was trying to be very mindful of, most of you all have 15th and 30th pay dates. So like Southern Hills, I have on here for the 30th. If you're like, I don't want to be dealing with that on a pay date. We can work around that. Maybe the 28th works better for you. And this is what I currently have listed in September. So we have some ability later September. I don't really want to push it till the 30th, but we could do the 27th. So this is my ideal right now. I'm going to reach out individually and make sure some of these districts I've already spoken to, and they're good with these dates. So I'll be reaching out soon about that. Keep me straight here, Rhonda.
The
how long it's going to
conversion
take.
process
So,
is very quick, so it's not like
yeah. So
USAS or
my hope
USPS.
is that when I tell you, okay, you're going to go live on the 15th, that means on the 14th, that's your last day to enter leave, approve leave, export leave. As soon as you give me the go ahead, and I would suggest telling your employees noon of that day. And then your supervisors will need to go in and approve everything. You will need to go in and export. And then you can email and say, everything's approved, turn it off. I will go into kiosk and turn off leave requests, so nobody can enter anything else. Or you can, that's possible too. If you're like, I'll just do it as soon as it's approved, we can talk about that. You can turn off the leave request. The next day, I will work on your migration. The migration, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to be 4 hours or less. I honestly don't, barring hiccups, I think it could be done in less than that. But I want to make sure, I'm hoping within 4 hours I can have everything, because it's pulling from kiosk. I download the files, I upload it back in. There are a few little snags I have already found and I already know how to fix. But I haven't done every district to know every single little thing that's gonna pop out. And I do need to spend time verifying that it's set up just as it was in kiosk. And then what will happen is in the users, so once I have all of your users, one of the very last things I'll do is you can bulk reset passwords. So I'll come in here and I'll select everybody, and they'll get an email to whatever email address, their primary email address, and it's going to have a temporary password. That password will be set to expire probably in 30 minutes. But if 30 minutes goes by and they were teaching, they didn't get a chance to go in and change it, all they have to do is come out here and do the forgot password, and it will send them a new password as long as they know their username, which is going to be the same as they've always used. So we'll send that out. And then I'll let you know you're up and running and ready to go. It's kind of the process in my head right now.
So it should
Does
be about a
anybody have any
one-day
questions?
turnaround, right?
Yeah, I think within, we'll say a whole day at the very most, but I'm hoping within 4 hours, honestly.
Hey, Tanya, while you're doing that 4-hour migration, can we still work in USPS?
Absolutely. Yep. Because this connects to USPS, but it's not USPS. So, yep.
Okay.
And another question that's been asked several times is, will there be the ability to log into kiosk for the future, just to review things? Definitely yes, until September 30th. We can have that ability for, you in the treasurer's office, that we can turn it back on. You wouldn't be able to request any leave, but you would still be able to log in and kind of review things and see things and make sure everything's set up correctly. After September 30th, I can't make any promises whether or not they'll continue to allow us to do that or not. Stay tuned.
And kiosk is still active for Ippy Dippy until the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah, that's another big thing. So if you are using, thanks, Rhonda, kind of out of sight, out of mind. If you are a district that uses Ippy Dippy for, kiosk for Ippy Dippy and leave request, you will now have two systems. So kiosk stays live till June 30th of 25 for Ippy Dippy only. And they'll need to log into ESS for leave request and that. So yeah, two systems if you're using both. Anything else?
And we'll post this webinar on our usual spot on our website.
Yep, we'll
And that'll
post it. We'll
be
send it
available
out
later today. Yeah.
Yep, so it's finance, state software, links and trainings. Click here for HCC training recordings. It'll be at the top here and it'll take you to YouTube. And we'll send out more information. I created a listserv for kiosk districts, ESS districts. So as updates are coming out, once we get more people on the system, we'll send out updates, the updates, just like we do for USIS and USPS. If anything changes, we'll keep working through that. Like I said, we're going to touch base with everybody one-on-one and talk about the migration. So if you saw that calendar, or if you have a specific date that you're like, I would really rather go here, let me know, and we'll just see if it works out for our schedules and everything else. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I've taken enough of your time. Reach out with any questions that you have, or if you come up with anything at all, concerns, just let us know. Let me stop sharing. I don't even know how to stop sharing. I don't know. All right, everyone have a good day.